stand up and maybe touch the flag.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment time. Do we have anybody for public comment this evening? Public comment? Going once, twice, three times. Okay, we'll go to supervisor updates. First of all, I would like to announce that I'll be going to the legislative session of the New York State Association of Towns. I'm registered for September 22nd, so it's a day and a half. I'm just doing the first day, and then various topics for discussion on that. And Ulster County Transportation Council, we received a draft resolution, so at our next meeting, this will affect us for the Valley Road Bridge, and it was town of Esopus to add a new project PIN number 876396. Update on West Park Post Office. We have been in contact with Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand's offices, Senator Ryan, our Assemblywoman, Sharsa, and State Senator Hinchy, and our local electeds have all stayed in touch with us, and we have nothing from the federal post office at this time. We have not received a contact to discuss the matter with at this time. In regard to IT services, Stephanie will speak on that. Meeting of Hudson 7, which I tried to attend. I did not make because we got confused that they were having a meeting. I think there's something on July. But I think the pertinent points was they were again discussing harmful algae blooms in the Hudson River, and the received drinking water treatment plants continue to be proactive monitoring efforts in coordination with the Department of Health. New York State DEC treatment and disposal of leachate at landfills. Hudson 7 has emphasized the importance of not only preventing new pollution but also reducing chronic pollution entering the Hudson River. So they noted that leachate discharge to wastewater treatment plants within river reach represents a potential source of pollution. Estimated annual leachate discharges totaling approximately 5.78 million gallons. Hudson 7 discussed initiating a dialogue with regional mayors and supervisors regarding the discretionary discharge of landfill leachate in sewage treatment systems connected to the Hudson River. Also discussed was Lower Esopus Creek, they're looking at the studies to indicate higher flows may be needed to support the ecosystem of the Hudson River. Adequate flows to reduce the risk of harmful algae blooms. They were pertinent subjects at that meeting. October 14th has been set for the operating training for our water plants. The salt and the concern is the salt front will be one of the featured topics. They're also monitoring down south of us IBM's discharge location near the Poughkeepsie and Lloyd drinking water intakes, and understanding how that affects everything. And with IBM's DEC permit reviewing expected soon, the council agreed that it's appropriate for opportunity to engage with IBM and DEC permitting staff to better understand the effects of the drinking water supplies. So that was the July meeting. And the last meeting,
again? Is it?
Yeah,
Down in the plant?
yes, that was the last page of it. It said, the council discussed IBM's discharge location near the Poughkeepsie and Lloyd drinking water intakes, and the importance of understanding both the facility's permitted discharges and its self-reported discharge data. With IBM's DEC permit review expected soon, the council agreed that this is an appropriate opportunity to engage with IBM and DEC permitting staff to better understand the potential impacts to drinking water supplies and ensure Hudson 7 source water protection interests are considered during the permit renewal process.
So are they also going to, is that something that we need to also be concerned about or have, our water?
Not that I can tell at this moment, because it's south of us.
Yeah, water flows from the south of.
Yeah, the overall algae bloom is an issue right all over the river on that one. And the leachate is another problem all over the river. I guess City of Kingston takes 2 or 3 locations. One is Jockey Hill, which was a huge landfill for the City of Kingston. So they're concerned about how many chemicals we don't even know going into our drinking water from the leachate through the sewer plant. So they're working on that, trying to learn more about it. And then they report to
So
us.
when you're not able to attend, is Nick able to attend?
Yeah, we both missed the July. We usually are both there, and this we didn't make the July one. The last meeting we just recently had, new letters will be sent to each municipality and county requesting that they consider budgeting for Hudson 7 fee for 2027. It was mentioned harmful algae blooms in Hudson River. Since June, we've had no defects. Port June, as of August 3rd, is testing bi-weekly. Last September, it had harmful algae and had to shut the plant process, followed the shutdown for a short while. And they're also working on a grant for evaluation of cybersecurity vulnerability to our water plants. Today was a meeting with the Ulster County Transportation Council, and I sit on the committee regarding the existing public procedures, and the subcommittee, we're trying to pull out what we can do for public involvement, clarify them to improve it, overall accessibility and visibility. We're doing remote virtual meeting policy, needs an update, but we're allowed to do this under current laws. There was a great presentation today from a lady named Emily Flynn that works for the City of Kingston to look at our operating procedures, favorability reviewed by the feds. They were very favorable on what she wrote, recommendations from her paper, going through the recent process. So that was a very productive meeting of learning where we're at today, and I won't go into any further details on it, just a little bit of what we were covering today. Note that we had a letter sent to Holly Netter and myself and some others here that on August 12th, I just wanted to let you know that my husband and I went down to Slitsburg Park yesterday evening to drop in our kayaks around 5:30. There was a family there on the platform, mom and dad, little boy. They were barbecuing on a small charcoal grill with trash and bags everywhere. I'm assuming the white Mercedes was theirs because it was parked near the seating area and had stuff spilling out of the trunk. Normally a family barbecuing wouldn't bother me, but when we came back around 7:45, they left literally everything strewn all over the place. Didn't even bring the grill with them. It was still smoking too. Hopefully you guys are able to find them and find them. The behavior is disrespectful to our local park sense, and that came from Dina and Area. to Rev 250, which a councilman down there has been working completely on that. I reviewed the insurance agreement that came from the county. It looked like a standard agreement with a few modifications, and he sent some questions back to them. You pinpointed a few things, and I pinpointed a few things. There was a discrepancy between two numbers that were in the contract, 2,500 that you approved, and 3,500, and I would not sign it, nor was it addressed to the supervisor. It was addressed to a councilman, so it wasn't even done properly. And we want to know a number of questions I had. If you're doing a bus, do we have to have a rider on the insurance? Where we stand on all that? So until it's done properly, I won't be signing off on anything on that, and that still has a ways to go to get together. So Paul's working diligently on that.
Would the bus be any, just thinking out loud, would the bus be any different from the senior trips?
I don't know. It's a UT.
It's
from the UCPC, so I don't know how that works. They might want a rider or something. I don't know, but it's certainly what they sent me was not clarifying. So yeah, so there was nothing. I mean, it had a place for a signature, and then they had his signature, his name on there, not supervisor. And I said, everything's wrong about this. There's too many things that are not resolved, so we have to get it corrected. So that took a little time to go through that. As I told Paul, I had to read it once, then I had to make notes on it, and then I gave the notes to Paul to work from there. And I think you found some things on the school that you were concerned about on the insurance too. So we have to see where that stands.
I think it'll be relatively simple questions.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get some simple answers. Okay, so that's what I have on that. Now let's go to accepting engineering proposal for Valley Road Bridge. Let me get that out. Let me read that, and then I'll give a little quick background, and I'm going to hand it over to Jared at that point. Okay, Jared? Okay. Accepting the engineering proposal of the engineering firm for the Valley Road Bridge project, whereas the town of Silkus is sponsoring agency for Valley Road Bridge project and is responsible for advancing the project in accordance with the New York State Department of Transportation, New York State DOT procedures for locally administered federal aid projects, manual and all applicable federal state requirements, and whereas the Valley Road Bridge project is being advanced with federal state transportation funding, with the town responsible for fulfilling the requirements of the project agreement and progressing the project through the applicable project phases, and whereas the sponsoring agency is responsible for, among other requirements, executing a project agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation, procuring a qualified consultant as necessary, preparing the project design report and construction contract documents, acquiring any property required for the project, advertising for bids, conducting a bid opening, awarding a construction contract, providing construction inspection, and paying eligible project expenses up front, and subsequently seeking reimbursement from the New York State Department of Transportation for applicable federal and state shares in accordance with the project agreement. And whereas no expenses incurred prior to receipt of an authorization to proceed from the New York State Department of Transportation Region 8 Local Projects Unit for the applicable project phase shall be eligible for reimbursement. And whereas engineering firm, we're leaving that blank because I'm going to hand that over to Jared. Will fill that in with an amendment in a minute. Has submitted a proposal to provide professional engineering related services necessary to advance the Valley Road Bridge project in accordance with the applicable New York State requirements and scope of services and fee schedule contained in this proposal dated August 11, 2026. And whereas the town board wishes to authorize the town supervisor to negotiate and finalize the terms and conditions of an agreement with engineering firm subject to applicable procurement requirements by the New York State DOT approval requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Silkus hereby accepts the engineering proposal submitted by engineering firm for the Valley Road Bridge project subject to successful negotiation and execution of a formal agreement acceptable to the town in compliance with all applicable federal, state, New York State DOT and town requirements, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to negotiate and finalize on behalf of the town the scope of services, compensation, schedule, insurance requirements, deliverables, and other terms and conditions of the agreement with engineering firm. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute the agreement and any documents necessary to retain engineering firm for the Valley Road Bridge, subject to review and approval by the town attorney, and where required, New York State DOT, and be further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Certification, the foregoing resolution was duly adopted by the town board of town service at the meeting held on today, which would be August 20th, 2026. Where there's engineering firm, and I want to give that piece to Jared. I just want to say that the superintendent of highways, Michael Faldo, and Jared, I met, was it the day before last?
Yes.
Yeah. And we looked at the scope of services that 5 on the federal list of providers could, that would be acceptable to the federal 80% match would be acceptable to them. We took their proposals, we reviewed each one individually and discussed it, and we came to a conclusion of who we felt should be the contract awarded to. And at this point, I would like to hand it over to Jared to speak on that piece.
As the supervisor said, we had 5 proposals that we all went through piece by piece, and we pretty much narrowed it down to 2, and then finally to 1. Just a little brief history on the project. We've been red flagged on this bridge for approximately 15 years or so, give or take. In 2022, we first went for a grant through Bridge New York, and we were unsuccessful with that. The Bridge New York grants are tough because it's based on population served, and this is only serving 2 residences. So 2022, we were unable to get it. As it deteriorated, we were able to put Band-Aids on it through our highway department, but it got to the point where in 24, the county came in and signed a temporary bridge for us, thankfully. And then in 2025, we tried to do another Bridge New York grant, just threw it out there trying to get, but we were unsuccessful again, which in turn, now we are successful this year.
It's the off-road.
From the county, right.
Off-road bridge.
So that's kind of how we got to this point of looking at engineer firms. The top 2 that we were able to narrow down to was GPI and PDG. They both did extensive site visits. You could tell they came up with great solutions. A lot of it you think is just kind of cut and dry, but there's a few things that makes it a non-typical bridge replacement because there's some rock outcropping, there's a FEMA floodway with the Black Creek shoreline, and there's a handful of things that if you're not familiar with the area or have dealt with it, then it could trip you up in the construction phase or the selection of contractors to where that would be the engineering responsibility. So with that, once we went through those 2 again, discussed a few positive negatives. GPI, which is Greenman Peterson Incorporated, they seem to have the best knowledge due to the fact also that they were involved in 2022 with the initial grant. They were involved in 24 with the second or 25th application, 24th, 25th year for the other grant as well. So they have done the research over the past few years, and they were involved in reviewing when the county set up the actual temporary bridge. They followed that as well. So they've kind of been with this project. They know the area, they know the project, and they have a few options that they were able to throw out to us. And, that is why we kind of looked at it and said they are probably our best bet as far as, bringing it to the next steps where we can award them, and then it goes into a design phase, cost analysis, and they can break it down from there to where we'll have a better idea, final cost. But that's kind of where we got to after that meeting.
So you want to make an amendment to put, the name of that firm where we have engineering firm right now?
Right, I'll make an amendment to the resolution saying anywhere referencing engineering firm to fill in Greenman Peterson Incorporated.
And I'll second it. Any further discussion on the amendment to the resolution? All in favor? Aye. Okay. And it should be noted that all three of us were in agreement on the selection.
Process,
Now I-
since we approved the amendment, do we need to approve the main?
Now we have to approve that. So now I'll make a motion accepting the engineer proposal of what is it again? GPI.
Peterson Incorporated.
Yeah, GPI for the Valley Road Bridge project, and I would like a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, pass. Okay, next thing is finalization of ethics and transition codes. They've been revised. The town attorney has answered some of the questions that we had and gone back and forth to get us the information that was requested. Is there any further discussion at this meeting on them, on this, where we would, on the next meeting, I believe, schedule a hearing, right? Yes.
Introduction.
A what?
An introduction.
An introduction. There's a public hearing, everything, right?
After that, after the introduction, and we will have it, the final version, which you have in front of you, but it'll be final 7 days before the introduction of the next meeting too.
So if there's any further comments, otherwise
I did want to make a comment regarding, this chapter 11 code of ethics for the town of Scopus. I find that this proposed law, to be unnecessary. I went through because we do have current e-codes for the town of Scopus for a code of ethics, and that states that chapter 11 is reserved, but the former Chapter 11 Ethics Code was adopted in November 11th of 1970 and was superseded April 16th, 1998 by our local law number 2, 1998. For current provisions, it leads us to see Chapter 32, Personal Policies Employment Handbook. So I find that repealing the current law, which is found in Chapter 32, Section 26, is not warranted. I feel that the preferable solution is to amend the current law where appropriate. The Scopus Town Code, Chapter 3226, already provides the Code of Ethics for the town of Scopus. Page 2, I pass this out to all of you, to provide a side-by-side comparison, which shows that the newly proposed law contains few changes from the current law, as was adopted in Chapter 32, Section 26. The town board, I believe, should consider whether those changes warrant repealing and replacing our current code of ethics or amending the current law. I will submit this to the town board, to the secretary, for the record. If you look at the side-by-side comparison, the proposed Chapter 11 is the first column. The second column is the current Chapter 32-26, our current Code of Ethics. And you'll see that most of the current law is there. This new chapter is adding very little to what the current law already does. The current law, if you look at the current law, there's a policy statement, much like what is in the purpose, which is stated in the purpose of the proposed law. The definitions section has only the interest and the officer or employee, which is basically also what is in this new law. The new law has some other definitions, which I don't know if they're new definitions for the board of ethics, code, private organization, relative, town, and town board. I don't know if the revised changed any of that. They're all there, okay. Section 11.3, applicability, states that this chapter supersedes any prior code of ethics, which would mean that it's going to supersede the current code of ethics that we already have. Section 11.4, use of municipal position, is the same as we have already in our current code of ethics under section C, standards of conduct number 2, that already talks about municipal position. Section 11.5, disclosure of interest, is already in the current code of ethics. Under section C, standards of conduct in legislation. And it also states that there is a disclosure obligation in Article 18 of the General Municipal Law. Section 11-6 speaks about recusal and abstentions, and that is also covered under Article 18 of the General Municipal Law. There is a section 11.7, which lists, I'm going to make sure that they're listing exceptions to the disclosure and recusal. And it does say that recusals shall likewise not be required where prohibited by the rule of necessity recognized under New York law. Section 11.8 speaks about investments, and that is also in the current Code of Ethics under Section C, Standards of Conduct number 6. Section 11.9, private employment, is also covered in the current Code of Ethics under Section 7. Section 11.10 talks about future employment. That is also covered in our current ethics code under standards and conduct, section number 8, or part of number 8. Section 11-11, personal representation. I think that's also covered in our standard of conduct in 3 sections, 3, 4, and 9. We do not have anything to cover the use of municipal resources. And we don't have that in the current. Section 11.13, interest in municipal contracts. That might be the same as what's already in section 11.5, but that would be covered in our current Code of Ethics, under Standards of Conduct and Legislation, section C number 5. And there is also a disclosure obligation in Article 18 of the General Municipal Law that covers that as well. We do not have anything in our current code of ethics that covers nepotism, section 1114, or political activity, section 1115. Section 1116 speaks about confidential information, but that is also already included in section 11.4, and is also part in our, also in our current code of ethics under C, standards of conduct number 2. And then there's a section 11-17 gifts, which is also covered in our current code of ethics. The difference being the current code of ethics limits gifts to $25 amount, where there would be an increase of the limit to $75 under the proposed. And then section 1118, the ad hoc board of ethics, is not in our current code of ethics, nor is section 1119, distribution of code. And section 1120, enforcement, is covered under section D in our current code of ethics, which offers penalties for offenses. So again, I do not feel that it is necessary for us to, or that it's warranted for us to have change to repeal or replace our current code of ethics. I think that if there are things that we want to amend, that would be something that we should look at. But replacing and repealing the current code, I do not feel is warranted.
Any further discussion?
I would just add, if it is deemed necessary for a replacement, that section 1118, the Board of Ethics, as I spoke on last meeting, I believe it was, I would remove that entirely, because I believe that would be a waste of time and resources, to where the town board within, no matter what the recommendation would be, would have to seek legal counsel anyway. So for any action to be taken, we're going to prolong it, and due to the nature or the severity of this, it could cost a lot of time and money for no reason.
I think the town attorney has addressed some of those concerns. I need a little more time myself to review this, because I've had other things that have been time consuming at the moment. So, any further discussion on this for now?
I would say, I think, given the number of things that are NA and we're going to change anyhow, that it just, to me, makes more sense to do a comprehensive review and make the changes consistent throughout and go forward with it. When you look at all the different things that aren't mentioned in the current code, it seems a lot to try to add on, and it seems like we've ended up doing as much or more work to align everything in the end. So,
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we'll move on then, and set it up next meeting.
So we're setting up next meeting for us to have another town board discussion on it, or?
No,
I think you could call everyone individually, canvas, to make sure there's full support moving forward.
right,
Sounds like there's some doubt.
not on my part, but there are some doubts. I'll be supporting. So I will.
So then I will say also that there's been quite a lot of money, a bit of money spent already on this. And as I said, I do not feel that this is necessary to make this change. I don't know why this was felt that this had to be done, but no, I do not support it.
We'll canvass the board. This was originally introduced by Councilman Brooks, I believe, right?
that's me.
Yeah, I just have, why?
I thought that originally that, looking at the stuff from the Association of Towns and the Comptroller's Office, that there were significant enough changes that we didn't align with what the current state of law is, what the regulations are, what the recommendations. And I thought, that ethics was something that I campaigned on. And I thought, given the differences that existed between what the current code says and what is recommended in procedures and the other recommendations, that I thought needed to be revised.
But the problem is there aren't that many differences. Like I said, most of what's already in our current code, that's what you're putting in this code. I went through them, line by line. And the things that are NA, nepotism, political activity, the ad hoc board of ethics.
The ad hoc board of ethics is a big deal.
So
The
what is,
definition of who's affected by it is extended far beyond what the current code is. It affects people that live in the household, relatives, spouses. All those things are not, I don't know if I can check it specifically. Most of those things, many of things, are not in the current code. The other thing that is not in the current code is in terms of abstention and recusals. The new one says shall abstain from any discussion, any involvement in a discussion, not even supposed to participate in discussions, as well as not voting on it. So there are significant differences in terms of how we appear to the public and what code of conduct we're following and what actions we can take and not take, in my opinion.
I hear you. But I don't think that we've had any problems. Who's asking for this? We don't have people who have not adhered to ethics or standards. We don't have that problem in this town. Also, the concern with relatives is we do have people, we're a small town. So we have people in our boards who are related to people who are on other boards. We have people who work, our employees, who have family members who are also working here.
But it's not saying you can't have family members who are on boards or both employed by the town. It's just saying that a supervisor can't hire someone that they are related to or can't influence the hiring of someone they're related to, which I think, like, the nepotism and political activity sections are actually something that I would like to see in the code of ethics. Like, I think that's a baseline requirement, and even if we don't have that problem right now, if we ever did, we wouldn't have anything protecting the town from that. So I'm open to whether it's a new law or amended into the current code of ethics, but I think that those are two very important sections that we should have.
What was the other one?
Nepotism and political activity. Political activity is about not being able to coerce people to make political contributions or
going around to different offices, like the last supervisor did, and we put a sign up here when you're on town time. That went on.
There's also in the Association of Towns meetings, they talked about, I think it's a 3-step test to apply the nepotism as to whether, a particular individual on the board is appropriate for them to take part of it. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And there's a test, a procedure and methodology to make that decision.
I just think one comprehensive overhaul is good. And I think you're fighting over straws. And there's enough things to change it. We've spent time, you presented this, I entertained it, because there seemed to be enough people that felt that we need some revisions, and I didn't disagree with that, what those revisions need to be. Well, now we have some parameters from the local town attorney, and I need a little time to review everything. There might be something that I may want to amend or not agree with. Particularly, I had a concern about, like Jared, the board, the ethics board, and I think everyone had brought that up too. I didn't like what was originally proposed, and then we did come up, I think, with a little different framework on that, with Keller, as I recall, but I haven't been able to get the detailed attention and time that it needs, because I had to do first. So I'll need some time to do that, but overall, I think it'd be a good thing to get passed and do that at the same time we're doing the transition, which will save some costs in going through the process.
Yeah, I would say, like, I definitely understand your point. I just feel like at this point, we've already spent some of the time and money to draft the new law, that changing course now, I don't know if that results in us actually ending up spending more money if there are changes that we want to make.
You know, if we want to make amendments, then they're already written. We can work on the amendments, but if we repeal this, and then we want to have a brand new law, then that means that we're gonna have to have a public hearing. There's still gonna be changes that might
So
be
an
made.
amendment doesn't require a public hearing?
I don't believe so.
I don't hear what the public
I
has to say.
think it may, but we can check
I
on
know
the
we've amended other laws now.
on this.
See, in June now?
I believe an amendment absolutely would require a public hearing.
That's what I would think.
Similar process.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would think. But we'll verify it. We'll verify.
Can we talk about ad hoc board of ethics real quick? Paul, like, you're much more knowledgeable on this than I am. Is that what the Association of Councils recommended as best practices? Or,
I think so. I'd have to go back and look through my minutes and notes or call and ask them for sure, but,
I think they did discuss something with the comptroller's office too. It's
right,
like-
right.
As I recall, a couple of months ago, but,
Right.
as I recall.
okay, I'd love to refresh on that because similarly, like, it is a time and effort and like finding people to serve on the board that can all be challenging. But my understanding, I may be wrong, is that I thought there was like recommended best practices from someone.
I'll check, but
I think you're right about that, but, I don't remember the details.
Yeah, we've been reviewing this for so long that
Yeah.
I think I asked this early on. And I just
Yeah, I'm not sure on the detail on that,
My whole thing with that ad hoc committee is it would just be a witch hunt either way. If we take, let's say, a decision by the planning board is made, and then it's deemed that there was something that could have went on, that requires an ethics review. Well, then you're gonna have everyone that was against, if they approved the project, everyone that was against that project is gonna be chomping at the bit to, hey, I wanna get on that ethics board, because, it's going to be a back and forth on either side, I don't care. You can't explain it to me any other way, because we're a small town, everyone's gonna have something to go against or something to fight for, and in the end, it's a recommendation that comes out of it a month or two later. The town board's gonna get the recommendation, and we're gonna say, well, we have to consult with the lawyer to see if we can go with these recommendations, or we don't agree with them, or, so then it's,
So your
To me,
point
it
is
could
that
be
you
used
might as
as-
well just have the town board handle it.
right, because it can be used as a cop-out for the town board as well, to not do their job, because then they can throw up their hands and say, well, that's what they told us to do, we had a committee. And then they can get off the town board, we can back off and say, oh, it wasn't our decision. So it's a double-edged sword every way I look at it. I just don't like it.
I think as I understood it, what Paul did is we could have it as an option, right, John?
Well, he actually came out and said that there are controller opinions against having an ad hoc board of ethics. And we needed to establish the authority to have a board of ethics, which would not necessarily be triggered until there was a complaint filed. My view on that is the board of ethics, no matter when it's established, is by definition going to be an ad hoc board, because it's not gonna be active all the time unless there's a complaint chooses who's on the ad hoc board of ethics. So what I'm saying is, by definition, it's not always gonna be an active committee or board like all of the others. It is going to be ad hoc. It's going to be as needed.
But what's drafted requires a board of ethics to handle any complaints that are made. It doesn't give the town board the option of whether or not to have the town board address it or to form a board of ethics if a complaint were received, right?
I don't understand your question. Can you say it again?
And sorry, we got this up at 3:30 today, so I haven't had a chance to read the edits.
Right.
Just so everyone in the audience knows why many of us have not read this yet. The way that this is drafted now, it is saying we have the authority to form a board of ethics. If a complaint is received, then we can choose to form, then at that point we would form a board of
Right,
ethics.
to be a future town board.
It is not saying that if a complaint is received, the town board can decide whether the town board handles it with our lawyers or
Right.
creates a board of ethics.
It-
The only path is to have a board of ethics handle the complaint.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's my thing out.
What was the last part, the only?
The only path is having a board of ethics, is what the current draft says.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is,
I want that, yeah, I'd like to see that.
It creates distance from the town board. Allows the town board to outsource to another town-chosen committee the work, and then the recommendations are brought back.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with that piece the way it was.
I feel like we need a call with our lawyer for some of us to understand why we want distance from the town board for something like this. And why it doesn't make sense for the town board to be the body that addresses complaints. Because I mean, I've seen some like written response, it would just be helpful to have a conversation with
I
them.
think that can easily be a
Look into that. So, because I just, I don't think it always needs to be activated. There's situations where it may be activated, and other situations where I feel the town board can just handle things. So, we need to have that phone call with the attorney, so we'll have to arrange that.
no problem there.
Anything further on that for this evening?
So what, are we at the stage where we're gonna have a public hearing on this, or are we gonna do some more discussion about it?
The next step is,
Well, it depends if you wanna make more edits. If you wanna make more edits, then we'll push it back another meeting.
Not a problem.
yeah, it sounds like we might be better off doing that.
Can we set up a call with council
Yes.
ahead of the next meeting, like essentially right before the next meeting, so we can actually take action at the next meeting?
You wanna do it like before the next workshop?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait a minute, we've got budget.
Yeah.
I'll send some options. I know you guys,
Yeah.
it could be a phone call, because it's with council.
Right,
So I'll send some options when he's available, and you guys let me know.
okay.
I would just like to actually take action at the next workshop.
I would too,
Because we
I'd like to,
had a number of discussions here.
I would be.
Because the action would be to, hold a public hearing out, get the public comment, and then we decide whether, after hearing the input from the public,
It could be another change.
it could be further revisions.
Okay.
So,
Do we agree with Jared, or
We'll get something scheduled,
for me, whatever?
okay? So are we all right for that for tonight, though?
Yes, sir.
The authorizing the town supervisor to execute a lease agreement with Lease Source Financial Solutions for a truck scale for the town of Silver's transfer station. I'll make a motion to move it, I need a second, and then I'll read it.
Oh, pardon me. Okay, did you want to look at the transition code?
Well, they were both at the same time.
Oh, there were, okay.
So, everything was on the ethics on that. Nothing came up on the other.
Let me just ask you,
Okay,
so
so,
in the conference call we're gonna have with the lawyer, are we discussing both the ethics code, proposal and the transition code proposal?
the other
If there's
question,
questions about the transition, why don't we just
Yeah, well, if you have something, and you can give us the questions in advance, he will not answer all the questions if he doesn't know what they are in advance, because
just
he's
wanna make
gotta
sure.
research it.
I just want to know what the soap is going to be.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I
gonna,
think at the meeting, when you weren't here, we discussed both of these, and I don't think there were many questions.
No, transition was smooth, I mean, it wasn't a problem.
I've only did that.
However, ethics has been quite the discussion.
Yeah.
So that's all right. We'll hopefully end up with something that everybody's happy with. Okay, so I did a motion on this. Can I have a second on the scale? You want to do that, Evelyn? That's number 4, the truck scale.
I just put it under something else just now.
I just need a second, and then I'll
I
read this.
will make a second because that scale is necessary.
Well, I think it's,
It's absolutely necessary for our transfer
yeah.
station. It's under this someplace. Okay.
So I have a second.
Um,
I made the motion. I need a second.
the motion is to,
Authorizing the town supervisor to execute a lease agreement with Lease Source Financial Solutions for a truck scale for the town of Silkus transfer station.
okay, I'll second that.
Okay, now let me read it and then we'll have discussion. It's a discussion on it. Whereas the town of Silkus owns and operates the town transfer station and requires a reliable truck scale to accurately weigh incoming and outgoing materials. And whereas the town board has determined that replacing the existing truck scale is necessary to maintain efficient operations at the transfer station. And whereas the town board has determined that financing the acquisition of the new truck scale through a lease agreement is in the best interest of the town by preserving available capital while allowing for immediate replacement of the equipment. And whereas Lease Source Financial Solutions has offered financing for the acquisition of the truck scale from Valley Scale Incorporated Rice Lake Weighing Systems Survivor OTR Steel Deck Truck Scale at a total estimated cost not to exceed $55,000 under terms and conditions acceptable to the town, subject to review by the town attorney. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Silkus hereby authorizes the town supervisor to enter into and execute a 60-month lease agreement at $1,138.51 monthly with the Lease Source Financial Solutions for the financing of the truck scale to be installed at the town of Silkus transfer station. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute all lease documents, certificates, schedules, and any other documents necessary to effectuate the lease agreement, subject to review and approval by the town attorney as to the form and by the town's financial officials as to fiscal sufficiency. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor and such other town officials as may be necessary are authorized to take all actions necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution and fulfill the town's obligations under the lease agreement. So now I open it up for any discussion. Do you want to start, Evelyn, and say something about the scale?
Oh, the scale has been broken for some time, or on its last leg, so we've been trying to keep it alive for at least 2 years. So, you really do need a scale in the town. My question is, about the payments, for the lease agreement. Will this be coming from the transfer station's budget?
Yes.
And they don't have any problem with that amount per month?
We are currently, no, money was in today, because I have to have that scale. It's a main income generator down there. We discussed, that it has to be in their budget, which increases the deficit of the transfer station. We are aware of that. We have a customer base of about 550 to a maximum of 600 customers. I think it was late fall of last year is what I told when I was down there, and I had asked this question at least 2 months ago or more, and I've been there more than once. And we discussed, we're going to look at our rates, everything that we're charging across the board for next year is a budgetary process. We are also, as I spoken to Stephanie, and I spoke to Lenny today, and Holly was on the phone, and we discussed that we need to do a better job of marketing. Because I suggest, for instance, if we were to increase our customer base down there by 10%, which I think is a reasonable goal, that would have an impact on what really is our deficit. And we have many people that have moved into the town that are not even familiar that we have a transfer station or what it offers. So we have to discuss how and what different mechanisms of communication we can do to help in promoting knowledge of it and what we can offer since it's a service provided. We are the only town that I know that still has a scale other than the RRA scales, and every other transfer station has had nothing but a lot of budgetary problems without the scale. And Laura, that worked at the New Paltz facility for quite a few years, will tell you it gets a little hairy at times when you're trying to measure the square footage of how much is on their truck, and you don't always know what's underneath.
Right.
And like Lenny said, one truck, you may be charging their way over versus what it should be. You don't know. So we have to work on that end of it, but it takes 5 to 6 weeks from the day of ordering to get a scale in here. The highway has agreed that they will assist, with the cement work and stuff. And Danny and I asked those two people to coordinate, and we will get some cooperation there again from Mike's department and Dan. So whatever it takes to get that new scale up, running, and functional. A lot of steel underneath comes with the new will be replaced. I was told in the midsection we will have to build a cement piece that's not existing now, because you only have the abutments, and then you'll have a better steel reinforcement on brand new, which is pretty rusted out. And we're being careful what we allow on there now, because in June we brought in 35,000. In July we brought in a little over 10,000. This is a slow month, he told me as of today. It will build up a little later. The busiest business days down there are Tuesdays and Saturdays. So we're looking at the revenue side increase or reduce, I should say, our deficit.
And when you look at how much they're bringing in right now per month,
It's
I'm certain
it
that's
varies,
over
okay? Every month it varies.
$1,000 a month.
For this month of July, because we always get it after the fact, landfill scale bills, we generated $10,682.25. Okay, that's on the report that you get monthly from the town clerk's office. So if we can do a little bit better job of marketing, I think we can help our deficit situation.
Yeah, a lot of people call, they don't know how to reach the transfer station, they have questions about what they take, maybe even improving the website.
Do that too. We've got with social media, we talked about, can we put something on the tax bill that you can go to our site for the SOCUS, get more information.
Yeah.
If anybody's running for election, try to make note of it somewhere in your materials, because you're helping yourself and every other taxpayer with trying to reduce that deficit. So that's what I can tell you that I know right now. Right now, I'm told, according to Debbie, we're running about a $10,000 to $11,000 deficit there right now. So this is going to increase it, but I think we can get that under control.
What's the useful life of the scale?
20 to 25 years is what I was told.
Why are we using lease source?
Because we can't pay for the scale up front.
How much is the scale up front? 55,000? Okay, but I guess why not another leasing company? Is lease source someone that we always work with, or is this just who the vendors?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I mean, that's a good rate for $1,100 for 60 months for a $55,000
to go.
Okay, great.
So any further discussion?
And just two quick things, it's, which I forget, is, the other one is it better to bond or lease?
No, you don't. We'll own it in 60 months. Why would we want to do a bond? You gotta pay for the
No, I'm
bond.
just asking, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you have to pay for bond council, bond out, the whole thing. No. It's too small for that. And
And
then
it's
again,
just-
if we do that for other things, then we're gonna, we wanna watch our rating too. We've got a bond on this town hall that goes to 2035. We're gonna be doing a probably close to $3 million bond on Valley Road Bridge. Debbie says we're very concerned about keeping our I think it's A- rating, so we wanna be careful in what we're doing.
Okay. The other question is, at this level of financing, does this require an RFP?
No, this is a lease.
Request for proposal?
Lease, no. They're the only ones in the area.
$30,000.
You always wanna go out to
It's
California.
over the $30,000 bid limit. according to
No,
the
you're
contract.
wrong. It's, $34,844.97
For the lease?
for the lease.
Okay. Oh, it's still over 30.
It's under 35,
Over 30.
35, you will. Okay, can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Okay, this one I've been wanting to do for a while. Resolution establishing a date for a public hearing regarding an unsafe structure located at 419 New Salem Road, Kingston, New York. Whereas the town board of the town of Esopus is charged with protecting health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the town. And whereas the property located at 419 New Salem Road, Kingston, New York, 12401, within the town of Esopus has been subject to a notice of violation issued on June 6, 2026 concerning conditions at the property. Whereas the notice of violation was issued pursuant to the applicable provisions of Town of Esopus Code, including Chapter 59. Unsafe structure, Chapter 96, Section 96-15, public hearing, removal by town, assessment of expense. Whereas Section 96-15 of the Town of Esopus Code provides that upon failure of an owner, operator, or person in control after notice to correct the condition complained of, the town board shall hold a public hearing. And whereas the town board has determined that a public hearing should be scheduled to provide the property owner, persons having an interest in the property, and members of the public an opportunity to be heard concerning the condition of the property and the alleged violation. And whereas the town board further finds the notice of the public hearing shall be posted conspicuously upon the affected property and served upon the property owner by certified mail, return receipt requested in accordance with Section 96-15 of the Town of Esopus Code. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the Town of Esopus hereby establishes September 17, 2026 at 7 p.m. as the date and time for a public hearing concerning the conditions and alleged violations at the property located at 419 New Salem Road, Kingston, New York, 12401, within the Town of Esopus, and be it further resolved that the public hearing shall be held at Esopus Town Hall, 1 Town Hallway, Ulster Park, New York, 12487, or at such other location as may be designated in the public notice, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause notice of the public hearing to be posted conspicuously upon the affected property and mailed by certified mail, return receipt requested to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the current assessment records of the town in accordance with Section 96-15 of the Town of Esopus Code. And be it further resolved that such posting and service shall occur not less than 10 days prior to the date of the public hearing, and that all other notice requirements of the Town of Esopus Code and applicable laws shall be satisfied. And be it further resolved that at a public hearing of the town board shall hear and consider all relevant evidence and statements concerning the condition of the property, and shall thereafter determine what action, if any, is appropriate pursuant to the Town of Esopus Code and applicable law, and duly adopted by the Town of Esopus on this 20th day of August 2026. I'll make a motion Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Do you want me to explain anything to you? It is a dilapidated trailer on New Salem Road that's been there for quite a while. It, according to the building inspector, has both availability for, because it was an existing living condition. The residents that were there, I understand, may be deceased, so I'm not sure who's getting the mail. You can see the inner workings if you go by it of the trailer when you go by it on New Salem Road. And it is a lot that can be, we have 15,000 in our line item for such structures to be taken care of and will be put on the lien on the property. The county's made us whole for the last 2 years, and we will get that money back at a later date, and we will be able to clean up that property, get rid of the trailer. I don't know how long, if you did any during your time period, Shannon, but I know John did.
Yeah, it's been going on.
It's been going on for a while.
Lower for a decade or maybe two.
Okay. So, any further discussion on that, so we can move that one forward?
And then we take possession of it and sell the land, or what is
The
this?
county would get it. The county would get it, but we would be made whole.
And we whole.
Yeah, and, you know, any costs incurred in getting rid of it, that's why we have something in the line item. When they put it up for sale, because when I was in the legislature, you get these quick claim deeds, and that's the process. Somebody will bid on it, somebody will purchase it. That will be a hot piece of property, because it has water there, and it has septic. It may need a new septic for all we know, but it has that availability. So that's the way that we can enhance our tax rolls. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to set town board budget workshops for September 1st at 4 p.m., September 3rd at 5 p.m., and September 17th at 5 p.m. at the Surface Town Hall, 1 Town Hallway, Ulster Park, New York. I'll make a motion and need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion authorizing the replacement of a gate at Slakesburg Park in the amount of, I'm sorry, that one is 844.97. You got me on that one, Paul. I had the wrong note. But that is for the gate down at Slakesburg Park. It's a replacement. I'll make a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Who would like to go first? This would be out of escrow, by the way.
Yeah, I'll be voting no on this. I think we could put $100,000 gate. The gate isn't the issue. So this would be almost $35,000 that could be used at another park, where we're encouraging as many people to go instead of discouraging people to go. So we're putting money into a park where we're not supporting the use of the park like we should be. So that's my issue with spending money on a gate. This gate, yes, would be more sturdy, maybe could do a handful of things more, but ultimately, the gate isn't going to be the fix, in my opinion.
Evelyn?
I also agree that there have been problems with Spacebird Park when we keep trying to do things that are going to ameliorate the situation, but it just seems that we continue to put money into a bag of holes dealing with this park. I don't see that it would be productive to pay $34,000 for a gate. I really don't agree with
I mean, if I could add one more thing also, $35,000 doesn't fix the complaint that we just had at the beginning of this meeting of someone barbecuing and littering.
During the day.
So, you know, once again, this park has gone from hookers and drugs to barbecuing, trash, and people leaving late. So the new gate isn't gonna fix what's next for us.
I'll speak when you're done. Anybody else? You got anything else? On this? Is that all your criticisms on this? Derek?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we covered.
I mean, I could have more.
I'm just giving you that opportunity to do that. I totally disagree with these two council people. I 100% support this. And the Sloatsburg people, Sloatsburg's area down there, Sloatsburg in general. This park has been a problem for a long time. And we have done, when I took over, it has been complete chaos down there because there was no management. And we have made significant change. We put a camera up for a cost of $500 that oversees what is the current gate and arm, which was the inappropriate gate and arm to put in that location and would be similar to what you see at the Ulster County Courthouse. It's been damaged 3 times. I'll say 2, because the first time they learned how to manipulate the pads in the ground. Then they learned how to take the bolt to get in after hours. Then we could see from the side of the camera, but we couldn't see the actual person doing it, pushing up the gate and ripped the aluminum on the one part. We had to shorten the arm, and there was been overtime expended on this, and then you had to put wood in there to secure that remainder part of the arm on that gate. We have approved, and it is ordered, a T-Mobile camera. A pole is up down by the boat launch, and I spent an afternoon for at least 2 hours going down to T-Mobile because they couldn't handle it here in Kingston with Danny. We took the truck down there, and we got the T-Mobile card, and we will have a solar camera that was previously approved by the board going up on the pole that was donated by the, supplied, I should say, by the town highway garage, and then Across the Sun did the soldering work that needed to be done. So that'll be going up. The no hunting legally is supposed to be 500 feet out from the land, the waterway. Those signs were requested by residents down there. They were put out, and that's in response to some time ago, whenever that was, a bullet went across, allegedly, I'll just say that, but I think it's true, over either the adult or the kid's head over on Plantasia Avenue, on the far end. There are 2 easements in that property. One is the Central Hudson easement, and the other one is Scenic Hudson that watches for the one particular plant. They did review and see how things are with that this year, and that's fine. We put a no trespassing sign where we lost a $3 million lawsuit with 2 kids drowning and a nanny back going to the John Camp and Ray Rice period. It has been a bone of contention for a long time, that park. Now, the surveillance signs were recommended by the sheriff. They're on the gate, both sides, in English and Spanish. And the key fobs that we have will work with the new gate. It is like the black fence outside this town hall, that kind of gate, which would match with what Central Hudson has around the big pipes that are standing up there. There's a major gas line there, because if that ever went, there'd be a lot of Sloatsburg would be in trouble. So this gate is a sliding gate, goes back and forth. They'll still be able to get out. We'll have all the cameras set up. If there's any damage to be done, the only thing I haven't gotten a price from Danny on yet is we've recommended there's 2 portals to take the other one that's still available where the current gate is, which would be right in that proximity but Dan hasn't gotten back to me. He was meeting with Central Hudson either yesterday or the day before, so I haven't gotten anything back from him on that, because they have to look at the, where we're putting something, and, say it would be okay. We don't have electric going in there, which would be a huge expense. So I think the only thing is if we do a camera, they have cameras today that you can focus it so they're going out if something goes on. We have one now that's a wider spectrum over where the arm area is, which we couldn't see somebody from the corner before, so we've improved that visibility. And we can have one that goes out as they're coming out, and you can catch a license plate if necessary, just as this complaint I just had recently here that I read to you. We would have a license plate if I had that, or if I had, maybe, I'm not sure I would have caught it with the gate that now is hovering over the arm part. So I'm still waiting for a price on that particular camera. But with these security measures, as far as I'm concerned, the security and the problems that have arrived at Sliceburg Spit are a direct result of inadequate security measures put in place to begin with, and that's why this is continually going on, and I'm trying to finally settle it. So I think this gate is very important to do, and I 100% support putting in this kind of gate. The one pad that is down there has not functioned for a number of years. It would cost a couple $1,000s to replace another pad on it. That would just be pulled out, and the other part that's there now can be put in the building department. If it could be used for another location, or it could be sold, one or the other, that's a possibility. This kind of gate is a nicer looking gate, and if you go next door to Costco, the industrial gate. So I'm giving the people of Sliceburg the attention that they have warranted and deserved for a long time and have not received in my book. So that's where I stand on this. I support this 100%, and I hope I will have 3 votes tonight. One of them will be mine.
Russell, can you just walk through, I think one of the things Jared says that he doesn't think this gate is going to, change the situation. I understand that this is a much more expensive gate, but what functionally about the gate is going to improve the security?
About a 5 to 6 foot goes across, like the.
So it can't be easily manipulated.
No. It cannot, it's on wheels, and they can't even deal with that, because they're inside the wheels, and it goes right across at a certain time. And with the new keypad, you won't have the excuse of the sheriff's department, well, we're gonna go to the substation to get the key fob. No, you can have a code too. I have a key fob, I've gone down there and used it, but you can also have a code. And we just got a $4,000 bill. Part of that was we had to upgrade everything with the sheriff's department that wasn't done on some of the camera technology for them to see things. That wasn't handled either. So I got that straightened out.
I don't think I don't think the gate is going to impinge on use of the park or the people who use the park. It may actually improve the situation overall. And that's my opinion. I'm not particularly disturbed by people that are not supposed to cook down there. That is an issue, but it's a different issue than people breaking the gate and other stuff like that. So if the park will still be accessible, still be usable by people, and I hope it will be even better.
It will.
Will this require someone going down and closing the gate,
No.
or opening it, it's going to be automated?
So,
Yeah, I find the behavior that I've heard about from multiple people at that park to be really unacceptable. I would also prefer to spend this money to enhance our parks and improve the enjoyability, but it does feel like we need to do something. I definitely hear you, Evelyn, that we've been dealing with this for years. But I also think that this creates liability for the town, and that's very concerning for me as well. So I will also be voting yes.
okay, I'll do a roll call on this. Evelyn?
So, can you give the whole motion?
We have a motion and a second on the resolution, so I'm roll calling it.
To purchase,
Yeah, so it comes out of escrow.
this is, you didn't say that before, So this, $34,000 is in our escrow account with
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
Park and Rec?
It's out of the recreation fees.
That was 300,000.
It's from,
It's paid for by the two developments that are.
You got a $250,000 check from the Page Development and $142 up here, and then you get some small checks that come in on the subdivisions of 2,000 apiece. We're also gonna be looking at something that Marbletown, by the way, and Rochester is now doing, and that is an open space, they have a thing where they charge, well, I don't know if I have that right, I thought I had it with me. Marbletown's raising $1 million. I just don't know where it is, but I'm looking at something else, and I'll have some more information on that down the road on that one.
so this $34,000, to purchase a new gate.
And
Will
so,
open and close automatically.
Right.
New
new pad, the one you have doesn't work.
pad to
The
prevent
buttons,
people from leaving or?
no, the buttons, if the sheriff wants to get in, and he doesn't have a key fob, and the gate's closed,
Keypad.
no, key fob.
Okay.
If he doesn't have a key fob, and let's say somebody calls, there's a problem, okay, and the gate's closed, somebody's in there and there's a problem, and they say, well, they gotta go here to the substation to get the key fob, okay, that's a delay. And then there may be delay too when we get the sheriff's department, since we don't have a police department. So with the pad that actually works, not the one that's been there for several years, that doesn't work, and was never addressed. This one will work, and they can just have a code.
It's like a keypad.
Yeah, it's a
They're
keypad.
gonna punch in, they're gonna punch in a key.
Yeah, they can punch it in, their number for the sheriff, and you'll identify who used it.
Because of each person.
Right, we each have a separate
people
code.
have separate
I'll have a separate code, you'll know that I came in at that time, it was me.
And out of the, this would come out of our escrow.
Yes,
And we do have how much in the escrow now?
under 400,000, but in that range.
Talking about. 10%. 10% out.
And it's one of our partners.
And I think we've also allocated money from the escrow account for the pavilion.
Pavilions, and
Yeah, so
we
some of that
don't know what
money,
the numbers will be.
yeah, but some of that money is already been allocated for that as well.
So you feel fine that we're not going to be indebting the town?
No, not at all. No tax dollars involved direct on your property tax whatsoever.
Well, I have a question. What was the question?
I did the roll call on the resolution, so everybody gets to do their own vote.
I'm going to vote no on it.
I'm gonna vote yes.
Yes,
Yes.
passes 3-2. The motion, I should say, motion, not
Motion
resolution.
passes.
No, motion passes. Okay, motion waiving application fee for the use of community center by Cornell Cooperative Extension for a workshop. Next step, I'll make a motion, I need a second on this for community center Cornell Cooperative Extension workshop. You want somebody, want to give me a second on that?
I'll give you a second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Ron,
Okay, let's go to town board liaison updates, which way would we like to start? Evelyn, you want to start?
I'm trying to get a date, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Through the
I can
other
start.
start the other way, okay. Paul, you want to start?
The 250 resolution, the grant, for the 250, it's at the Red Books, distributed 24 out of 30, 6 to go. Working on the bus tour, sort of sites, we have a route, working with UK on that. The mural at the Grace Elementary, the design has been started. They're waiting for the students to get there and get them involved in that, and then they're gonna start work. In terms of the building department, the year-to-date figures that I got from the code enforcement officer, year-to-date, and money brought in, 421,908. In July, it was 45,804. Through July 1st to August 31st, they issued 90 permits for construction cost figure of $7,210,858.94. They did 16 complaint inspections. One of them was a dangerous condition. Out of a total of 56 total inspections. Planning board met Monday night. Things as they always do. They did ask the code enforcement officer for determination of whether the owners of the Dollar General property on the entrance to the town on that side can have the storage containers where they want them, which is in the front of the parking lot. So that's then refer to the code enforcement officer. The ZBA on Tuesday held an informal informational session on an appeal of determination by the code enforcement officer regarding 200 Union Center Road. There will be a public hearing at some point, and that's it.
Thank you.
Could you just repeat, I'm sorry, the Dollar General?
Pardon?
Regarding the Dollar General,
Yeah,
is that about the containers that are there currently? There's 5 containers there.
Roxanne, I hope, correct me if I do anything is wrong, Roxanne. I know if there was they referred it to the county planning board as they're supposed to do. County planning board recommended that the request for permission to them to expand from 4 at where the current location is 6. The county planning board said no. They denied. They would recommend that town planning board deny the request. So the town planning board had a discussion and decided that it needs to be an interpretation of the section of code involved. So they referred it to the code enforcement officer, whose job is to determine whether the code is applicable, and then see what happens. We'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Evelyn, do you want to?
Yeah, with the environmental board, they are working on the Honeybee Jubilee. I think they might want to change the name again, I'm not sure. Last year it was Native Bee Jubilee. It's going to be September 13th at the Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union. They are getting their vendors in place for that. No updates on, well, you already updated the transfer station, and no updates for the justice department.
Then we have a new judge,
Yeah.
and she's doing fine. Jerry.
Mainly, the updates I have for water and sewer, the water main project that was going on the 9W corridor with Green Meadows, the contractor. They completed that stretch, that phase 1 of the project. They replaced 6-inch main with a 12-inch main. Everything is good. The main question that everyone has that drives 9W is what are we doing with that pavement zone there? And the second week in September, Callahan will be paving that, so we should be looking a lot better. Coming second week in September, they're expecting about 2 days worth of paving there. The Hasbrook Loop, which is the second phase of that project with Green Meadows, the easements are almost completed. One is complete, the other, the people are away, they will be signing a note, they're in agreement with everything. So thankfully, that's set, they're looking to roll. Arrow Construction will begin the water main project on the East South at the end of this month, I believe they said. So that's another project that's going in the right direction as well as far as our water main. The water tank, I spoke with Nick today. New York State Department of Health and the County Department of Health were both on site for a final sign off on the tank, and they went through, there were a few minimal things that we can fix in-house, like some nothing at all, but they were happy with it. He said the site meeting went great. So, immediately following that, the counties, every 3 years, they do a sanitary, what's the exact term for it? They do a sanitary check on the whole water plant itself, being the conditions, the operating of it, and they have a whole checklist they go through every 3 years. And so they said, hey, while we're here, we'll just go down to the plant, and everything went smooth, no discrepancies, no issues at all. So, you know, good job to Nick and the crew there.
That's not counting.
Right, no, I'm sure it's not. So, you know, kudos to them for having everything on just a surprise visit, having it all perfect for us. So that went well. And also, they have, they're working on, it may come across your desk at some point, they're working on just some drainage on the manhole, different things because of all the rain, so they're going through and, you know, making sure they can, all the infiltration of stormwater, they're addressing some situations around town with that, so.
Has it gotten a lot worse in some places?
They just know they're going to be having problems, so they're doing a little proactive kind of check, and he's getting everything in a line for that. He said he was going to keep you updated as
Stormwater scares me because of EPA.
I know, everything's good, the pump stations are good, it's all running well, they're just doubling back and making sure they can stay in front of everything with all the saturation in the ground.
Yeah, it's been some rainy summer, I'll tell you that. I have some good news in regard to the water, and that is Verizon is wireless, right? You know, they contacted me and I've spoken to them, and they would like to take, and they're going to set up a time with Nick. And I said, I want to be included on that tour visit, because I haven't been up there to the new tank. And they'd like to look at the possibility of putting a wireless tower there, which would give us monthly income. So I said, I would love to see that.
Better service.
Yes, because there is a tower not far away, and they said, I guess they have concerns about the fees that they're going to be charged, and they don't have to charge their customers. So they have a high interest in looking at this location. So I hope to have some more, maybe positive information down the road on that. That's all I can tell you right now, that's all I know. Stephanie.
No. So, tax assessor's office completed the July